Hello and welcome to the Garian Tabletop. I am Garian Reaver and this is a Far Waste devlog. Equipment is a vital part of life in the Far Waste. Today we'll be looking at weapons and armour. Remember, this game is a work in progress. Put your feedback in the comments or join us on the Garian Reaver Discord, linked in the description. All the release rules are on the Far Waste Lab, also linked. Some of my earliest devlogs were outlining the massive variety of weapons spread across 10 categories. Since then, the weapon rules have been tweaked a bit, with several changes to terminology, and even a weapon category being dropped entirely. Let's quickly go over changes from previous devlogs, particularly 2.1 and 2.2, the weapon showcases, as most of that information is still accurate. First, the elephant in the room: heavies. I originally planned for heavy weapons, or just heavies, to be a weapon category containing light machine guns, miniguns, and their sci-fi alternatives. The issue is, that turned out not to be logically or mechanically viable. LMGs were fine, but miniguns are massive. The term minigun comes from the weapon being a smaller version of a colossal gun, but basically all modern miniguns are vehicle mounted. They're only found on vehicles for two reasons: the power requirement and the weight of the ammo. Although the setting allows me to overcome the power issue, the ammo is still huge and heavy. But the real killer for this category was the numbers. I've talked before about how all weapon damage is grounded in actual statistics. Every gun is scaled against the others, representing accurate differences in muzzle energy, rate of fire, accuracy, and so on. I won't go into the exact calculations, but here is where the minigun breaks the game. The most powerful automatic weapon in the game is the hard edge heavy rifle, dealing an average of 43 damage per shot. The most powerful sniper is the 50 cal anti-orca rifle, dealing an average of 133 per shot. Taking into account muzzle energy and the frankly ludicrous rate of fire of miniguns, the weaker minigun would have to deal 910 per shot. The stronger one comes in at almost 3,500 damage per shot. Miniguns are scary. And until I can think of a way to balance this insane difference in power, miniguns are off the table. Because of that, LMGs have been folded into the rifles category, giving us the 9 categories we have today. Next is something that I just alluded to: weapons now have names. Rather than the clinical 9mm semi-automatic handgun, we have the service sidearm. And this is for two reasons. First is a bit more characterful. Second is because most kinds of guns have variants. Taking the 9mm again, there are 3. The service sidearm, the free 9 pistol, and the coastal semi. Broadly speaking, they're very similar, but have little differences to make your choice of weapon a bit more meaningful. In the case of the 9mm handguns, they get heavier and have a slightly longer range. But other weapons have greater variation, like the hard-edge heavy rifle and the fanfare LMG. They're both GB caliber LMGs, but the hard edge deals an extra 3 damage. The trade-off being it takes longer to reload. There are a total of 71 individual weapons spread across the 4 gun categories. They all have 2 variants, except the 50 cal sniper, with the starting weapons getting 3 variants instead. This sounds like a lot, but you're never going to have to deal with that many at once. When picking a weapon, you'll probably decide by caliber first, and this just gives you a little bit of choice. Last is a bit of terminology changing. To simplify descriptions and explanations, melee weapons make strikes, while ranged weapons make shots, and both can result in hits. Also, a weapon's mag has now been renamed to its capacity, with the mag being the amount that's currently loaded into the weapon. This is important because on the character sheet, current ammunition needs to be tracked. I mentioned in the character sheet video, DevLog 20, that I'd like to make and sell special tokens to show status effects. I'm also thinking of ammunition tokens so players can have a little pool of bullets showing their current mag. It's much easier and more immersive to just move the tokens out of the pool rather than adjusting the sheet at each turn. And what about a deck of cards that detail the weapons? A card per weapon, showing stats and any relevant info, allowing quick, easy reference. Arguably more important than your weapon is your armour. If you get shot, it doesn't matter how good your gun is if you go straight down. I've talked about armour before in DevLog 11, the combat showcase, but this one has changed a fair bit. To go over the basics, armour comes in 3 categories: PPE, soft, and hard. PPE is typically light but poorly armoured. It's more for protecting against unusual damage types than hammers and bullets. Soft armour is lighter than hard and doesn't restrict activity much. The downside is it's most effective against small arms fire. Hard armour is the heaviest and best protection available, but difficult to move in. A character's class determines the categories with which they're adept, and they'll suffer some penalty if they wear armour they don't know how to use. The purpose of armour is it provides protection. Protection reduces incoming damage by the number stated. There is universal protection, also known as Uni-Protect, and extra protection, or X-Protect. Uni-Protect is the baseline protection the armour provides against all damage types except disruption, nerve, radiation, and suffocation. Due to the nature of these damage types, most armour is simply unable to guard against them. X-Protect is a second greater level of defense that armour can offer against one or more specific damage types. Any types listed for X-Protect count the armour as this higher protection when calculating damage. There's also current protection, Cur-Protect, that is the remaining defense provided considering wear and tear. Lowered by rending and other effects, Cur-Protect effectively becomes the maximum protection offered by the armour. It will first reduce any X-Protect, but if the Cur-Protect drops below the Uni-Protect, that will be reduced too. For example, Turnout Gear has a Uni-Protect of 3 and an X-Protect of 10 against chill, heat, and shock. After rending 4 damage, its Cur-Protect drops to 6. This means it still protects damage from most types by 3, but only reduces chill, heat, and shock by 6. After rending a further 4 armor, its Cur-Protect drops to 2. It will now only reduce all damage types by 2, as the Cur-Protect has dropped below the Uni-Protect. Effectively, the damage has caused the armor to be no better against its specialized types compared to any others. Details about rending are already on the Farways lab. In the base rules, all armor is automatically repaired back up to the higher of the Uni and X-Protect during a rest of at least an hour. Optionally, campaigns can use the armor repair complex rule. While resting, as long as you have the materials, armor can be repaired at a rate of 10 Cur-Protect per hour. Each requires their respective mats, using 1 per 10 protection repaired. Basically, this adds a new thing to source and track, having to acquire PPE, soft or hard armor mats in order to keep your stuff in top condition. You can buy them in shops, likely to be quite common, or you can scavenge them from the environment. It's one of these hardcore difficulty rules, so I know not everyone will want it. That's why it's an optional, complex rule. In class showcases like DevLogs 12, 15, and 18, I've mentioned the starting equipment being a choice of weapons and sometimes armor. As weapon damage is one of the big forms of progression in the Farways, players don't get completely free choice about what they start with. Each weapon category will have 1 or 2 starting calibers or types, and will then have 2 or 3 options each. For example, the Chemist. They start with Adeptness with 2 weapon categories, and their starting equipment is 1 adept weapon and a melee weapon. They can pick, say, rifles and handguns, but they still only get 1 ranged weapon to start. Our Riser here chooses to start with a handgun, and can pick any of the 3 9mm semis. He chooses the service sidearm because it best fits his backstory. Handguns and rifles have 1 caliber each as starting weapons, while SMGs and shotguns get 2 each. Sprayers get a choice of 3 weapons in 1 or 2-handed variants, but that might be too much choice. Explosives pick a few starting grenades. All 3 melee categories get 2 options each. All the starting weapons are basically the lowest damage in their categories, but they're not entirely equal with each other. The infantry rifle can probably beat the service sidearm, but virtually every weapon is situational. You shouldn't pick solely based on which has the best numbers. Pick what suits you, your backstory, and your playstyle. Some classes, like the Soldier and Transitor, get a choice of armor too. They can pick between soft and hard, again depending on the playstyle they want. Hard armor tends to reduce evasion. Outside of soft or hard, there's basically no choice about what armor. You get the weakest in the category. But note that, like real-world armor, even the weakest can make all the difference. The starting soft armor has a Uni-Protect of 4, matching the service sidearm's average damage. And the starting hard armor has a Uni-Protect of 13, matching the infantry rifle's damage. Armor helps, even light stuff. Makes a big difference. And that's about it for weapons and armor. Let me know your thoughts. I'll put more info about the starting choices on the Farways Lab, so go have a look. Join us on the Gary and Reaver Discord and check out the Farways Lab, both linked in the description. And don't forget, Gamverite merch is now available. Please share this around to your friends and gaming groups so we can continue to grow and improve. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe for more Farways devlogs, or for board games, card games, miniatures, and TTRPGs like this. And I will catch you later.